gosh, I need this tea to kick into my system. I don't know if you have mornings where you're just like, I'm not fully here,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
that is my morning right now. I'm not fully here.
I feel like something is happening, like, planet-wise or something, some sort of astrology, something must be happening.
I think somebody was talking about Mercury again, but I was like, I don't remember Mercury being in retrograde again.
No, it's gotta be out of retrograde by now, but something else is probably happening.
Let me see.
Okay. I know we're just coming off the super moon. Um,
Yeah, that affects you a lot. Mercury in retrograde 2025. I mean, we just came out of it though. Like it was in November 29th was the last time. So that can't be it. It probably is the super moon.
yeah, I did a super moon ritual the other night.
What did you do?
So during the full moon, I will normally do sort of like a divination ritual, and I'll ask like what, because when the moon is full is a good time for divination and kind of predicting the future, but also just asking for guidance. So I will ask for guidance about like what is my next thing that I have to do, like what for the next moon cycle. But I did that ritual and it was kind of a nice one, fitting for the time of year. It was like, stop focusing so much on like what you need to do and start slowing down and aligning with what you want to be instead of the actions. Focus on like the essence, which is hard.
That is so hard. I've been also kind of trying to focus on that as well, like shifting my mentality and, not wondering how it's going to happen, but focusing on like the end result of it happening, which is a good thing. But it is hard sometimes, especially when things feel like super out of control.
Yeah. And my impulse is like to try to fix it. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's like, no, you can't fix it. You just have to sort of be in it.
Yeah, I've been working so hard on like just releasing and not really focusing on like I'm such a control freak sometimes.
Mhm.
And so not really focusing on those things and just being able to be a little bit more open to what's going to happen. Like me and my mom, we had this conversation, and the conversation it was about like just family stuff and them providing help to my brother and me saying, at first it was frustrating because, I'm struggling too. And then I realized that for the universe, if the universe is saying that the help from you guys needs to go to my brother more, then that means that for me, there's a different thing that's going to be here for me. Like it just because it's not happening for me or it's not coming from them per se doesn't mean that it's not happening. It just means that for me, it's going to be a different plan. And like I just kind of have to surrender to it, which isn't easy.
No. One of my coaches told me in a session, well, she didn't tell me, she was coaching someone else, but um she talked about several experiences she went through where she just had to have faith, and the message that she heard was like, it's gonna work out, just not the way you think it is.
Yeah.
And that energy feels very strong right now. Like, it's
It's
not gonna
it's
happen the way you think.
but then that's so hard because you're like, I got these bills and I have all these things. And it's just releasing is not easy. Releasing is definitely not easy.
I'm dead.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome, guys, to another episode of Basically Unbothered podcast. Today, we are joined by Megan Gilman. Did I say it correctly? Okay. I'm
Yep,
always
that's it.
so conscious of saying people's names correctly. I don't know why, but I'm so, so focused on it all the time. I feel if like I mispronounce someone's name, it'll probably bug me for the rest of the day.
Definitely, definitely.
I'm just that kind of person. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm excited. We're gonna get into our gossipy pop culture stuff, and then I'm excited to get into the main topic with you and talking about, s- embodying the spiritual energy in the real world and like what that entails and how you can mix, those worlds. A lot of people think that those worlds are super separate, and I've gone through a lot of experiences where I realized that they're way more intermeshed than you think that they are. So I am so
Definitely.
excited to be able to get to talk to you about that. But before we get to that, the first thing I always like to do with my guests is like a little fun check-in to see, how everything is going. How's your week been? Thanksgiving was around the corner. How was that for you?
Yeah, it's been a lot. So I moved from Florida to New York in the last year,
Wow.
and I live so much closer to my family now. They're in New Jersey, and I've lived in Florida for like the last 10 years. And this is the first Thanksgiving that I've lived really close to them. And I did not go to family Thanksgiving this year. I was like, nope, for my own personal mental health and for my kid and my husband, we're just gonna stay here. I will cook a turkey. We'll chill in the house. We're gonna do our own thing.
Hmm.
And that was really hard as an eldest daughter to be like, I can come to Thanksgiving. I am just not coming to Thanksgiving. It feels really good. It feels really weird, but it feels really good.
Is there like a tension between you and your family?
Oh, I don't know if there's a tension so much. We get along well. We got along better when I lived several hundred miles away. I will say that
Mm.
for sure.
Mhm.
Um, I've just noticed that, family holidays, lots of people around. And I have a teacher who said, your family knows all the buttons to push because they installed your buttons.
Mhm.
And the last couple of big holidays, I've just felt really like back in the middle of all my family stuff,
Mhm.
right? That I don't have to deal with if I'm a little bit further away, if I have a little distance, if I have a little more control over my own experience. And I've noticed my kid too. I've
Mhm.
got a 4-year-old who's very energetically sensitive. And in that kind of environment with like relatives that maybe he's met once or twice, but he doesn't really know. So, like, to him, it's like a room full of grown up strangers that he's supposed to be really nice to. And like, he feels weird, and then I feel weird. And I don't know. I
It's
just
a
didn't feel like feeling weird on Thanksgiving.
You know what? It's funny. I made a similar decision for myself. Mine is a little bit more like grief related. My best friend passed away earlier this year, and I already knew that I was going to be really sad. And so I had to like think through, and it's like, okay, I'm going to be really sad. Do I want to put myself in an environment where I'm gonna be sad and I'm either gonna like ruin everybody else's Thanksgiving, or I'm gonna be sad and I'm gonna pretend not to be sad to save, to make sure everybody else is, am I gonna be managing other people's emotions? And I realized that either way, in the circumstances that I was getting ready to be put in, I was gonna have to manage people's emotions. And I wasn't really like in the mood for that. So I saw my mom for Thanksgiving a little bit. And me and my mom are better now at managing each other's emotions. So like being around her wasn't too bad. And also because she went off and did her own thing. And then I had some time by myself because I really just wanted to be alone. And I avoided a big Thanksgiving as well. It wasn't well received in some parts. I definitely got a lot of pushback back from my family and everyone. But I'm kind of the same way. Like I don't want to feel uncomfortable for the holidays, especially right now where I don't even really have the desire to. celebrate the holidays. I don't wanna feel uncomfortable. I don't wanna feel like I don't know, it's all of the drama and the chaos and I sometimes wanna go back to the purity of a holiday just being like a holiday and not this grand fanfare, you know?
Mhm. I totally feel that. It's like Pinterest has taken over our holidays to such an extent that we feel like it's gotta look picture perfect, and everyone who comes needs to see that we have done the most, and we need to show up as our best selves, and it's like,
Mhm,
right now, that's not what I'm practicing. I'm
mhm,
actively in a stage of my life where I'm trying to show up more honestly for
mhm,
myself, but also for my kid, because I am raising a 4-year-old boy until he tells me otherwise, and, like, I want him to know that it's okay to feel all your feelings, and it's okay to
mhm.
show up as who you are, even if who you are is loud and inconvenient or upset. Um, and it's just like I feel like Thanksgiving, like a big family Thanksgiving is like level 500 of that exercise, and I'm just not ready for it yet.
Yeah, no, I understand. Honestly, whenever I go to Thanksgiving, I love that you're teaching your son that. I didn't grow up with that mentality at all. I grew up with the mentality that, like, you have to make yourself smaller, you have to make yourself meeker. I grew up in a whole, children should be seen and not heard kind of era. And that definitely affected me. It affects how I interact with people. It affects like a lot of things. And, as I come into my own, I realize that I also don't have the desire to make myself smaller. And I do naturally because that's how I was raised. But I don't have the desire to make myself smaller. I don't have the desire to I'm an aesthetic girl. I love an aesthetic thing. But even like in just doing my own thing out of the grain, right? I wanted to decorate my desk. You can't see because that's someone else's desk. But I wanted to decorate my desk for Christmas because, I'm really into mugs. So like I have this Christmas mug today.
Very cute.
Um, it's so the little bows is just sending me. I'm so in love with it. But then when I was at Hobby Lobby and I was shopping around, and Hobby Lobby is like my guilty pleasure. I don't support their views or their opinions, but for my aesthetic, sadly, that's, like, the only place that I can go to find things that I really like and fit in my aesthetic. But I'm searching around and I'm looking at all of the, cheesy, stereotypical Christmas stuff, and I'm not into that. Like, I love matted colors and I love black, and I settled on, like, a little cute black house with a fake candle and another, like, little matted red with a fake candle,
Very cute.
and I'm like, I don't need to do the whole garland and green and red and glitter and everything like that. Like, I can truly just live in my own embodiment of what the holidays means to me. Ooh, and
Yeah.
then, like, love that for myself, you know?
And you can share it, and you
Mhm,
don't have to share it.
mhm.
Like, it's weird. I've grown up and I think you have too, like, ever since I was in college, there was Facebook and then Instagram, and so you wanna show people, like, you're pretty aesthetic, even if that aesthetic is not actually what your desk or your house looks like.
Right. The whole
And so
faking it thing.
yeah, it can feel rebellious to be like, "No, I'm gonna decorate the way I want to, and I'm not gonna take a picture of it. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna try to prove I decorated. I'm just gonna
Mm-mm.
enjoy what it looks
Mhm.
like right now." Um, and also sometimes it feels rebellious to be like, "I'm not gonna decorate. Like, look at my mess. This is my mess."
I wish more people would, like, embrace the look at them. I get into that habit as well on social media where I want to show people my mess. Like, I do try. Like, there are times where if I post up a super glammed up version of myself, the next day I'll post what I look like. Like, this is me 90% of the time. But because I've always wanted to like stray away from my life looks perfect kind of image on social media, but you do get caught up on it. And in reality, most of our lives do just look like a mess.
Yeah, most of my life for sure.
Mhm. Definitely. All right, let's get into our first topic. We are gonna get into our pop culture roundup. All right. The first pop culture roundup is talking about Wicked for Good. Have you seen it?
So, no, I haven't seen the movie,
Okay.
not the second one.
Okay.
And here's my excuse is that I have a 4-year-old. So like going to the movie is twice as expensive as if I didn't have a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Um, but also I have been obsessed with Wicked since I was in high school. Like it came out when I
Really?
was in high school. I was a huge theater nerd, so like I know what happens. I know how it ends. Um, I'm really excited to see the little additions and twists that they put on it in the movie version that weren't necessarily part of the stage version. Have
It's
you seen the movie yet?
it's I got to see the movie on a Wednesday preview premiere. So I saw it before most people saw it. It was fantastic. Um, I'm glad I saw it the way that I did. So at this specific movie theater is kind of like off to the side or whatever, so there weren't a lot of people there. So I didn't get overwhelmed with other people's emotions or their feelings or just being in a large crowd because for me being in a large crowd sometimes could be quite overwhelming. And I was allowed to have my emotion because right now for me it's just a really emotional time. And then Wicked for Good is such an emotional movie. Um, but there are parts, I mean, I've haven't been obsessed for Wicked for like since high school, but I would say I was probably 19 when I read Wicked, the whole thing. And it back I mean I was reading maybe 20, but I was reading like hefty books back then. And I remember that like the first part was like, oh my gosh, Elphaba's story. You know, a lot of this it gets condensed, which is crazy because you're like, it's two movies. How did it get condensed? And I'm like, read the
Right.
book, and you'd be like, what the crap? Because you don't get a lot of in the musical and in the movie, you don't get a lot of Elphaba's background, even though you get a little bit more in the movie than you would have gotten in the musical, just because it's not like it doesn't the set design doesn't make sense for me to spend 5 minutes and however many much money to make this one set. But I have seen Wicked in theater as well, like the musical in theater. And so I have all three different, you know, frames, and it was really well done. I don't like there isn't it's such an emotional movie, and the frustration I have is that people keep harping on Wicked and they're like, "Oh, they're just trying to be super political in the time where," and it has some very political notes, and I'm like, "I feel like you've never read or looked at the play because you missed the fact that this whole concept is quite political."
It
Like,
is
that's the
political.
purpose of it, and
Yeah.
people do not get that.
Yeah, it's not like they wrote the story like this year for this political moment, but
No.
the story was written, yeah, it must have been like 15, 20 years ago that the book came out. It
I'm gonna
was a while
see.
ago. I'm so I feel like I'm so old that it must have been because the play was already coming out when I was in high school, and I'm very
Yeah.
old now, so the book must have been well before that.
The book came out, oh my gosh, the book came out 30 years ago.
Yeah, so it's like this is a cycle that we as humanity repeat over and
Mhm.
over and over again. And
And we
yeah,
don't
this is
learn our lesson because clearly
yeah. And who are the witches? The women who like show up and are loud about what's not okay and what's actually happening, and they
Mhm.
get villainized. I love I love for that reason like the casting of this.
Mhm.
Like I think they didn't have to make Elphaba a Black woman. I'm glad that they did because I think it's kind of like we're in a moment where I think Black women are really standing up. And if you're listening to this, I'm super white. So, like, I'm talking about things I've got no business talking about. But I have seen so many amazing Black women standing up and shining a light on what is not working in our
Mhm.
society and being villainized for it. So, like, I'm really glad that in that way, I think it's very of the moment to have the lead character be an amazing Black woman.
Yeah, and I think in they definitely, more than the play did, lean into this. There's this, and I feel like it was in the I've only saw the play once, and so my memory of it is like, my memory of the music from the play is a little, like, off, but I'm pretty sure it was in the play, but it's No Place Like Home. But it felt really different knowing the ethnical kind of background to it, you know, even in our current political climate, and, people are wondering, because one of the things was talked about was like, why would we stay when everyone is saying that they don't want us here? Elphaba's argument was like, there's no place like home. Like, this is our home, and we shouldn't be pushed out of our home, and home means so much. And there was, beautiful parts in it. And the movie, you kind of get to explore more of Galinda. Um, she's definitely more redeemable in the adaptation. And you get to see Ariana Grande did an amazing job. Um, the emotional depth that you get from her is beautiful. The One of the things that they did change, and I'm not trying to give any spoilers, but one of the things they did change was you get to see them interact more in the second movie, which in the musical you don't really get to see.
No, not in the second act. They're just sort of off doing, and then you get that one song at the
Mhm,
end, which, like, I think that the song For Good,
mhm,
like, that was everything to me when I heard
mhm.
it the
It's
first time. Like, that's so
even like
powerful.
20 times more devastating now. It's I mean, it's
I can't
it's
imagine, and
so
you
powerful. It's
just had, like, a
so
personal
beautiful.
loss, right? Like, I can't imagine listening to that
Mhm.
after a
Oh my,
close
I
friend
was
passing.
and we
It's
were
gotta
kind of
be.
it was so fascinating because we were kind of like, to me, she would be more of Galinda and I would be more of Elphaba. But it was interesting because there are some notes at the very end, where they're fully separated. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but you've seen the musical, so like what really happens to Elphaba in the end. And when that happens, they're still finishing the song because you can do that in the movie when they're two different places, and it's beautiful. And there's like this last moment where she ha- Galinda has the grimoire, and it's almost as if the magic is transferred from one person to the other, and one person is kind of going off into this other world space, and one person's left in the world having to figure out how to carry on the legacy of. And let me tell you, I bawled my eyes out for the entire end trailer. Like, the those last like 5-10 minutes, sitting there just crying, couldn't stop. I posted a video of like, this is me before Wicked for Good, and this is me after Wicked for Good.
Yep.
Comical. But it was so good. It was really hard to watch it with my friend being gone, and to know that we had such a similar relationship to that, and there were so many scenes that piggybacked on it. And one of the most fascinating things that, Ariana Grande talks, and we're spending so much time on Wicked, but it's just so good. But Ariana Grande talked about how she found herself through Galinda, and everyone's like, well, Galinda is so selfish and blah blah blah. And the movie, you really get to see how not selfish she is, how quite selfless she can actually be. when given the opportunity, even when she's hurt, even if she's making mistakes. There's so many opportunities where she could have chosen herself, and she didn't. She chose her friends instead. Even in the big scheme of her choosing, because she's not, the biggest thing about that is that she's not choosing herself, she's following what she believes, and that's kinda contradictory, and what, both of these girls believe just splits, right? But you still get to see her make the choice over and over and over again and pick her friends, and that's something that I really loved from them. So I cannot wait for you, have to send me an email when you when you
I will.
watch it.
I'll let you know after I'm done crying.
Yeah,
You'll be the first one I email about it.
it you'll get a good cry.
Yeah, I need to go by myself is the thing. I can't take my kid because I need to like go and be in my emotions and not have to caretake someone else. It's a
Yeah.
big thing for me.
I also wanna go again because I didn't get the cocktail, and, I'll be damned. And I didn't get the green and pink popcorn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if there's something you're gonna do a commemorative popcorn for, Wicked should be it.
Yeah. So, okay, on our next topic, getting off of Wicked, Shay Mitchell launches skincare for kids. It's called Rini, I believe, and dermatologists are speaking out about it. And when I say skincare for kids, from what I've seen for the most part, they're these really cute face masks. Some of them are like a panda bear, like you can literally see the panda bear on the face mask.
Yes.
Um, Unicorn, stuff like that. Have you seen
Like
it?
the ones you buy on the end cap at like CVS or Walgreens when you're like, yeah, I just want to have a fun little face mask tonight. I don't really know what's in
Mhm.
it, but this one looks like a panda. So yeah.
And it's made like so you know how like the ones you see on end caps at CVS are usually for adults, right? And they have chemicals in them that are made for adult skin. These have things that are, I mean, most of it is just like aloe vera and kind of thing. They're not meant to like make your skin look better. You know what I mean? But it's that concept that when you have a kid and you're doing face masks, sheet masks constantly, your kid's gonna be like, "Oh, I wanna put it on. This looks like fun." And you don't wanna put on your mask on them because again, it's not made for their skin that's still developing. But so many people are upset about it.
I'm not surprised.
It like irks my soul because it's like, can you give it a fucking rest? Like, there's so many things to actually be upset about. Someone wanting to create like a mother-daughter or mother-son or however, bond with their kids by providing skincare for kids. It's like you're the dermatologists are like, we're teaching kids that they have to worry about the way that they look and things like that. And I'm like, if is that what self-care and self-love is to you guys? Because that's not what it is to me. I mean, like, obviously I care about taking care of my skin, but it's also just like a ritual and a practice.
Yeah. I will say I mean, like, I can see being a little uncomfortable. Like, we already sell a ton of stuff
Mhm.
to grown women and to
Mhm.
teenage girls that tells them that, like, you're not okay as you are. You need to spend your money on this cream or on this mask or on this hydrating lotion so that you will be pretty, so that
Mhm.
you'll be acceptable. And that's how they get all our money. And there's a part of me that's like very uncomfortable with like 5-year-old, 7-year-old girls being initiated into this sort of like mindset of you're not good enough as is,
Mhm.
spend money, buy this thing, and then you'll be pretty enough. Like there's like I'm scared of that, right? But like also you should take care of your skin.
Like it's
And you should be able to do it in a safe way if you want to do it. No one's forcing kids to buy these.
that's my biggest, no one's forcing kids to buy it. It's not being marketed, like, even in the marketing, because 'cause I've looked at it, it's not being marketed in a way and let me see if I can find it. It's not being marketed in a way that, is oh, it won't show up, okay. It's not being marketed in a way where it's like, "You need to take care" it's being marketed as a fun thing to do for kids, and, I mean, I agree, like, 5 and 7, I don't know how I would feel about that. Um, Definitely maybe, like, late elementary, definitely middle school, I can see it more, but I also know, it's hard now because the reality is that kids see their parents do things and they wanna mimic that, and, that's where it comes into, like, what we talk about the responsibility of the person, so of the parent, right? So F all of these companies that tell you that your skin, you need to have this, you need to have that to be beautiful. Like me and my mom had those conversations because I'm really into makeup right now. And it's interesting because me and my mom were talking about concealer, and the person who does my nail does beautiful makeup. And she said, oh, well, she's using concealer to hide, or, she's using makeup to fix or to highlight one of the things that she doesn't like or see. And I was like, actually, I like my face with concealer on, and I like my face without concealer on, and to me, they just look like different moods and energies that I'm trying to project. And if you stop and this is nothing on them, right? They're also coming from a different time period as well. But if you stop trying to promote it as this is something that you need to fix your face and instead kind of project it as this is something that can help you to practice glamour, going back to the topic that we're talking about today, adding some spiritual aspects into real life. Practice glamour, embodying an energy. It's not always about like I sometimes I'm like, ooh, my skin's looking a little, not it's not perfect, but it's looking like it could need a little hydration. And then I'll do a hydrating mask. But that's again more for me or self-care. So to me, it's a perfect opportunity, and I'm not a parent. So I get an opinion, but I don't get a say, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
To me, it's a perfect opportunity at an early age to start talking about the difference between actual self-care and self-love practices and taking care of yourself because it feels good and just trying to do it because you're following a trend or because social media or these people are trying to tell you you're not going to be pretty without it because I was pretty before I ever did any of it.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty after I did it, you know what I mean?
Yes, and, like, also the same like, I would have the same misgivings about things being marketed to adult women because 'cause I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, like, we don't wanna market it to kids because kids are perfect the way they are. Like, everyone's perfect the way they are. No one needs no one needs makeup. Um, men don't go around most men, I'm assuming, don't go around wondering, like, if they need a little extra moisturizer or concealer to make themselves look, fresh and young. They are the way they are, and they just get to go through life like
Mhm.
that. So I think it's fun. Yeah, like, calm down. There's so many things to be upset about in the world. Like, this this seems harmless, and if you don't think it seems harmless, don't buy it for your kid.
Yeah. No, I definitely like, and I think that that's where we get divided a lot in this world right now. It's like, if you don't like it, just don't buy it. If it's not for like, I'm truly if it's not actually doing harm and it's not for you, just don't buy it.
Not everything is for you.
Not every there are so many things that I look at that I'm like, for instance, I used to be big on fast food, right? And I made a comment and then I called it back about McDonald's burgers. I will not eat a McDonald's burger. I'll eat everything else from McDonald's, but I refuse to eat a McDonald's burger. It's disgusting to me. But I also have to remember that, like, some people might feel the way about me liking a McChicken. They'll be like, "Ugh, how
Mhm.
could you eat that?" And as long as it's not doing harm to someone, who cares? Eat your McDouble, eat my McChicken.
I love a
I
Big
will
Mac,
also
I have to say. It's gross. but I love it.
I can't I don't know what it's McDonald's honestly, I haven't had a Wendy's burgers, and I think it's because I'm probably becoming more of a burger snob in general, where I'm like, I just want a burger from, like, a burger place. Um, but that's one ooh, what am I doing? That is 100% a me thing. Alright, we're going into our next topic. Our next topic is that Grey's Anatomy, which is it's amazing to me that that show is still running.
I'm so glad.
I mean, I haven't watched any of the newer seasons, but that's just because I'm in an era right now where it's just too much drama for me,
Yeah.
personally.
It's hard to watch. I think haven't watched past, I think season 17 is the last season that I watched.
Mhm.
And I won't say what happened because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who might just be about to start their Grey's Anatomy journey.
Everybody should always be about to start the Grey's Anatomy journey.
Yeah, I'm like, I have stopped for a while. When I will say I have problems crying. I don't
Mm,
always let myself cry. It's very
me
hard for me
neither.
to like let myself cry. When
Mhm,
I feel like I need a good cry, I will just turn on Grey's Anatomy and
mhm.
wait for something to blow up or someone to get a ridiculously obscure illness or for someone like I'll just wait for the tragedy to happen and then I'll cry. It's so
To
much
lose the
easier for me
main
to cry about
character.
Grey's Anatomy than it is to cry about what's going on in my real life. And it's just a huge catharsis. I love it. So what is happening on Grey's Anatomy right now?
So it's funny that you say that because I also use TV shows and movies to help me cry because I do have a really hard time, like, getting my emotions out, so I'll do the same thing, but so, they've had here and there, they've been following this, and I love that this is Shonda Rhimes' new kind of mythology with Grey's Anatomy of bringing people back to visit, um, especially during I did not watch the COVID season, but I want to
It's
just so I
good.
can see some of, like, your favorite people come back and visit Meredith in her coma. But they made the announcement again that Addison is coming back.
Addison Montgomery Shepherd.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Well, not Shepherd anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved
They
her.
said that Addison is to make a return to Grey's Anatomy season 2. And they've said this before, and she's only been here for an episode, but I kind of get the feeling that it's gonna be a longer thing. I love her as a character. I also watched all of Private Practice, and
That
I
was a
love her.
fun.
She's such like a messy, well put together woman.
Yes, you know how there's the like scattered, flustered British woman archetype? I feel like
Mhm.
Addison is our scattered, flustered, high achieving American woman archetype.
Yeah,
It's like she is a hot mess, but professionally, like she is untouchable.
yeah. But, like, personally, she just makes the worst decisions, and she's notorious for sleeping with somebody's best friend or ex-husband or what she just is and it's interesting because sometimes she gets, like, this really moral high ground on people, and everybody around her is like, you have no legs."
Yeah.
But I love I loved her as a character. I love to see her arc on Grey's Anatomy. Obviously, when she first came on, no one liked her.
I liked her immediately.
Did you?
I did. You know what? Because I love Meredith Grey, but she is messy AF. Like,
Yes.
Meredith Grey is not a like I mean, I was oof, I started watching it when I was me and my roommates binge watched the whole first season while we were supposed to be studying for finals my freshman year of college. Um, on like some probably illegal streaming site. And that's when I fell in love. But like when you meet her and it's just like, "Oh, Meredith, you got caught." Like, "Derek, you got caught," because that's how she like comes in and it's like, "Oh." I don't know. I immediately was like, "Okay, so I want to see how she handles this."
Mhm.
I loved the, tension she brought to everything because now it's like, "Oh, this is it was already a messy situation." I don't know if you can spoil season 1 of Grey's Anatomy at this point, but, like,
Yeah, like,
it's
yeah, it's
messy as an intern to sleep with an attending. That's messy.
yes.
And then to have his wife show up, like, oh, yes.
It's
That's why I'm
wild.
watching. That's why I'm
Yeah.
watching this show.
It was for me, she just comes in and she's super fabulous and she's super, like, almost unflappable, and she's like, "And you must be the woman that's sleeping with my husband," and you're just like, oh," and she handled like, so you imagine that you're about to, like, have this, like, um, almost, like, dynasty, like, royalty kind of character that's just like, "Oh, I'm above it all," and then the next episode, she's just a hot mess, and you're like, "Oh." I will never forget the episode of her getting was like poison ivy in her vajayjay because she had to go
Mhm.
pee outside and her just being a complete mess about that, and I as a character, I don't like second chance romances, I stand by that wholeheartedly, but I do like something about her coming in and giving her all for something. I mean, it took her a long time.
Yeah.
But I love the older years of their friendship and how that's evolved, and I love that what it can say about society, and we get so stuck in our head about, "Oh, this person has wronged me," and on both sides. We get stuck in, "Oh, this person has wronged me. I can never forgive them," and honestly, that feeling is so valid in that moment, right? But we lose track that in 10 years or 20 years, holding on to that grudge just doesn't do anything for you, and maybe it is better if you forgive them, and you'd be surprised what friendships can bloom from giving something a year or 2 years or 10 years time to, like, heal.
I will say in my own life, looking back, some of my closest friends, we have, like, such similar taste in guys that we have dated the same guys, like, in
Mhm.
rotation, and it's like, sometimes that's how you find your people. You're like,
It's
"Who else has dated this guy? Let's
like,
hang."
who's been bumper buddies? I literally just texted my friend about that recently, was like, he moved to a different plant, and that plant is where my ex-boyfriend works at. I was like, have you guys sat and talked?" He was like, "No, why would we?" I was like, "'Cause you guys are bumper buddies." And he's like, "Only you would think of that." And I was like, "Absolutely." But no, honestly, I've always said to people, because 'cause I've had friends who dated my boyfriend or my ex-boyfriends, and I was totally okay with it. I said, "My feeling is that as long as you weren't dating, like, the one, like, the big, big one for me, and we had a conversation about it first, I don't care because that person I have let go."
Yeah.
I don't
And if
I
you
don't
were dating the one, that was probably
Mhm.
not the one.
I mean, that's true, but, like, the
Because the one wouldn't
emotions.
do that.
Yeah, but, like, the emotions that are such higher when you feel like that person is, super higher up versus someone that you were dating for, like, a couple of months or whatever. If you wanna date somebody that I've been dating before a couple of months or whatever, I truly mean this, I do not care. Like, if
Yeah.
even now, if one of my best friends or, like, one of my friends were like, "Oh, I'm dating your ex-boyfriend," I'd be like, "Good luck." I mean, he is awesome. You're awesome. Have fun. I've moved on from that place. And, we have to let go of this idea that people belong to us.
What's that phrase? I don't gatekeep. If you want them, let me introduce you. Like, let me tell you all about them.
I mean,
I'm
my big thing
not
is
with
just
them.
always I don't like lying and I don't like sneaking. So, like, if you want them, just tell me. Let me know. Let's have a conversation. And don't be afraid because I'd probably be like, girl, that's your problem now. Have fun. Let's trade
Yeah.
notes later.
I think that's why I love Addison so much is because she came and I mean, of course, she had feelings about Meredith. Like, one would have feelings about, the person who your husband moved across the country and started sleeping with.
Yeah.
But she never really held it against Meredith because she knew that it was her husband who was doing the
Mhm.
sneaking and the lying and the running around.
Yeah. I think I remember, like, there was, like, when it first all came out and she clarified because everybody was, like, gossiping about Meredith, and she was like, "Let me clarify. Meredith isn't the one in the wrong. I'm the one. I cheated on my husband. She had no idea what was going on." Like, I love that about her, that she was also able and willing to stand in her mess.
Yeah. That I think that's what she brings. Like, Addison Montgomery is, like, the patron saint of being messy and, like,
Mhm.
honorable about it.
Yeah. She's an honorable, messy girl, so I'm excited. Every year this happens, and every year I'm like, "Okay, I gotta watch the next season," but
Gotta catch
I'm
up.
I do, but I don't want to. There's certain seasons that I just don't. There's certain things that have happened in Grey's Anatomy, and they're not even like deaths, but there's certain choices that the characters have made or that the writers have made the characters made that I just are so devastating to me to watch sometimes, and they're just I mean, they're just hard things to do, but there are times where I think about it, so we'll see. We'll see what 2026 brings for me,
Yeah, if I'm in a, like, a negative space already, I'm not really gonna
and
watch Grey's Anatomy.
that's my biggest thing is that, this year has been so tremendously hard for me that the, like, idea or concept of putting myself in that space right now does not feel.
Yeah. If you need a Shondaland show for 2025/26 that's not gonna emotionally devastate you, then, like, maybe season 4 of Bridgerton instead.
You know, you're right, and I'm excited for Bridgerton to come out, and I've also been considering rewatching Private Practice again.
That was a nice one. That's a nice little fluffy one.
It's fluffy and it's not like there's some really serious heavy parts, but it's also a little bit more witty and sarcastic and kind of comical,
It's in
and
California. It's not as dark and rainy as Seattle.
I mean, we're gonna talk about this forever. Yes. Okay. Our last topic in the Love is oh wow. Our last topic in the pop culture roundup is Love is Blind stars just can't make it last.
Oh my gosh. Are we so surprised?
No, I mean like okay, so I was on the Love is Blind bandwagon from the first season. I was like, I'm so in love with this. I'm so in love with the concept. Right? And I've actually applied to be on Love is Blind twice.
Oh my gosh. I would okay, tell me if you get on. I will watch that season.
I applied last year and maybe earlier this year, but I think both of them were last year, and I haven't heard from them because one of the things that I learned about now is that a lot of times when they're doing casting for these things, there's literally a question on there if are you doing this just so you can get like more social media presence or whatever? Are you doing this because you want to find love or both? And I think that what they're
You're
looking for
supposed to
are
lie and say, "No.
well, I mean,
This
like,
is this
I
is
know
just my best chance at love, I'm sure."
I don't think they want you to lie. What I think they actually want is for you to be like, "Yeah, I wanna be on TV." Because what they're looking for are people who are gonna make, like, these dynamic situations, you know? And I'm not surprised because the first season to me felt truly authentic because no one knew where it was gonna land, you know what I mean? You were just signing up and to me all not all, because, like, Love Island was never set up for a successful relationship. The fact that there are successful relationships from Love Island is just awesome, but
Incident.
it's not. It's legitimately not set up for successful relationships. Um, but when these shows start, when they're, like, in conception and they're, like, the first couple of seasons, if they don't get, like, wild viral craze, then they still have that the authenticity of it. But when people start noticing them, then it takes away from the real purpose of the show. And so I watched season 1 and I watched season 2. And season 2 was a little too, like, stressful and drama-y for me, and I stopped. And then my cousin was like, "You should watch the 3 and 4." So I watched 3 and 4, and then I think I watched 5, and then I had the same feeling, like, this is just too much. Like, it's just too much. And I remember specifically because season 2 was, with the 2 Indian people, and they were a couple, and the one dude just basically kept telling her that he wasn't attracted to her physically, and she didn't have a good body, and he couldn't pick her up and put her on his shoulder, and she reminded him of his it was just filled with so many and my problem is that I mean, obviously you're casting for a TV show, but you could also cast, like, decent human beings.
Yeah, it's like rage bait, but, like,
Yeah,
yeah, they're like,
and I
"What's gonna
eh
make people talk most?"
right, and so, at this point, it's really just like, maybe we're looking for love, but also maybe we're looking for, like, 5 seconds of fame and to boost, you know, because now they wanna know your social media. Now they're looking at your follower count. And there are rumors that you don't even get noticed if you don't have more than 10K followers. And it's but so no, I'm not surprised, even though the most recent couple, and let me see if I can find it, because it's all over social media, right now. Like TikTok all over, Instagram all over. Oh, it's Alexa and Brennan. And they were one of the couples who for the most part seemed in season 3 kind of like steady or whatever. Um, the divorce filing is not steady.
Oh.
One of the claims is the misappropriation or misuse of community assets, which I didn't even know you can put in a divorce. But basically, Brennan, the guy, is rumored to have been using up all of their life savings and spending it on other women.
Ugh. Okay, I don't really watch Love Is Blind, but I would watch Divorce Is Blind, like, just a reality show covering like, a docuseries covering the
Covering someone
divorces
go
of
through
all
for
the Love
divorce,
Is
that'd be
Blind.
hilarious. Oh my
We
gosh,
would
we
learn
just have
so much.
this is the newest best idea ever. Like, let's stop watching people fall in love and let's watch them get through hate.
I would pay to watch that. I would get a
Oh my gosh.
subscription to that service.
I mean, I would also love like a fairy tale ending because, like I said, I don't like second chance romances. I don't. Me personally, I don't like the concept that someone did you so wrong. And then the way that we're gonna fix this is being like, "Oh, it's forgiven." No, no. No, you bought me a Lamborghini, so no. So I would love it to be like the first half of it being divorce and the second half be like them trying to find love after, you know? That would be my vibe. But it's apparently only going to get messier, and that's the thing when you find love on, not national TV, but streamlined TV.
Yeah, that's what
I
we
I was
wanted.
having this conversation about like the next time that I'm in love, I don't think like if I always say that when I become well known, right? I don't want to be famous. I want to be well known, but I wouldn't do like an engagement spread in a magazine because Nina Dobrev broke her engagement with Shaun White, right? And like think about all the time they spent doing all of these photos and talking about it, and now you're just like that would just
Yeah.
me. That would make me so I would actually keep like you wouldn't see any photos until the actual wedding.
I think that's fair. I also can see the other side of, like, making mistakes publicly is uncomfortable AF,
Mhm.
but I really respect people who are willing to go all in on something they think is gonna work out, even if it
Yeah.
turns out later it was a mistake. Like,
No, I 100% agree with you there, honestly. Like I have my own fears um for my own like personal reasons, but you are right. Like mistakes happen. And I'm just afraid of making them
yeah.
in
Of course you
general.
are, we all are. We all are.
But like making them publicly feels like I could literally hide under my desk for the rest of the like, for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, look at, what's her name? Sansa Stark, but, like, the actual
Oh, I know who
person
you're
who
talking
played
about.
her.
Yeah.
And, like, her marriage to Joe Jonas, and it was, like, so like, it was so cute, and they had such a moment, and then they had
Mhm.
such a breakup,
They
and,
did.
like, it happens to everyone, and so, of course, they're in public, it's gonna happen louder, it's gonna happen more publicly. I don't know, like, good for her for taking that on and still going for what she wants.
Yeah.
How, like, you have to be
But, I
so
mean,
brave, you have to have such a thick skin.
you do. Maybe I'll get there. Maybe I'll get to a place where I'll be more and it's like again, it's a total me thing. So maybe I'll be at a place one day where I'm ready to be like, okay, I'm gonna share all of these things and not be afraid. But like at this place I am now, I don't know how I feel. I'm very much I love like s- TikTok famous people or social media famous people who don't really show the face of their person for like I love a soft launch. I'm a soft
Mhm.
launch girl. But I guess if I put an application out on Love is Blind and I gotta accept the fact that there's still a part of me that
You're
is okay
open
with it
to
being
it. You're open to it. You're maybe not comfortable with it, but you're open to being comfortable with it in the future. A future version of yourself is gonna be, like, totally comfortable being well known and
yeah.
maybe even famous.
It's my biggest thing is that fame like I'm totally okay with being like I don't know if you heard there's a podcast called Barely Famous. And I'm totally okay with being like a D-list celebrity or a C-list because you get to
Mhm.
live your life for the most part but I don't want to be like, I can't walk outside my door.
Yeah.
I want to be able to live my life. I always tell people I'm gonna be like the Adam Sandler. Like I'm gonna have all the money, but I'm gonna be living in like a two-bedroom condo. People are like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm just living. I don't need a giant house to help me live me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go into our make it make sense. And I don't okay, speaking of shows that are dating, I mentioned Love Island and how I don't
Mhm.
think that Love Island as the show is set up for finding love for real. And this most recent season has been the most chaotic and everybody who was together broke up within 2 months, if that, right? There was this actually major breakup the last episode. Like, right when they were having their final, like, romantic, dinner, the breakup happened there, and the character
That's
was
such good TV, though. That's
it was
such
good
good
TV,
TV.
and so I actually love the person. Her name is Huda, and she has gotten so much flack from the beginning, and I wanna come at this because I am a Black woman saying this. Um, a lot of people, unfortunately, are racist in this world.
What? No.
I know. Such a shocker.
If this
A
is
lot
the
of people
first you're hearing of this.
but one of my biggest problems as an African American woman, as an Afro-Caribbean, Afro-West Indian woman, is the concept that you can only be racist to Black people. Now, there's a difference between prejudice and racism. That's a long thing that I'm not gonna get into, but it's not just against Black people. It's against minorities and people of color in all ranges of colors. And so my problem is the Huda got a lot of racist comments about her ethnicity, and I think she's I don't wanna even mess it up, so let me look it up.
Yeah, she's definitely that kind of, like, yeah, I don't wanna say a thing.
I don't either. It's like, oh, there it is, ethnicity. Palestinian. She's a Palestinian American. And so even when everybody tried to make here's my feelings. Everybody tried to make Huda the bad guy from the beginning, which was just really fucked because you put a whole bunch of people in a situation on Love Island and you're looking for people who are not emotionally stable because you want that reaction. And then they act emotionally unstable and you're like, "Oh my God, why is she this way?" You're like, because they chose her, isolated these people on an island, allowed people to bully her, allowed men to dog her, love bomb her, and then make her seem like the crazy one. Let me be very clear. If someone played with my emotions in front of my face on an island that I'm like stuck with, the people that they are dating, I'm going to go ape shit. I'm on everything. I'm going to go crazy because you can't call home. The people that are supposed to be your friends are the ones that are kind of like backstabbing you a little bit. The guy that like, anyways. So when they did the reunion, one of the conversations was when the two black girls were getting Alandria and I forget the other girl's name because Shelly, because she's been so like irrelevant. Um, but they were like, we got all these racist comments and you didn't defend us, and oh, but you defended us, but you didn't defend us on our timeline. And her statement was, but defended you, and I was trying to figure out with my management team, what the best time to do it because I wanted to do it, but I also wanted to do it in a way that it's impactful. But you guys never defended the hate that I got as a Palestinian American woman. And so people really liked her stance. She got on to do football commercials. She had a collab with Huda Beauty. She started dating somebody else from another reality TV show. And this is this is my problem once again with not providing people who went from like their lives or maybe 10K followers to now they have 5.3 million followers. You're not
Mhm.
preparing them for that uptick and that
No.
eye. So she gets on a live and someone makes a racist derogatory comment about African Americans. And in the moment, she like uncomfortably laughs. And I don't even know if she saw the comment or not because this is on the live, right? And has gotten so much backlash from that since she has not posted on social media. She hasn't posted on her Instagrams. She lost all her brand deals. And again,
Ugh.
she's still getting hate. And we're in a time where Palestinians and Palestinian Americans are still getting a lot of hate. And we don't talk about that. But because she herself didn't spew the hate, because she laughed uncomfortably at a comment, we're condemning her. And so I want to know, make it make sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, unfortunately, it really does, right? Because if you well, if you're a woman in a space,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get criticism no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a brown woman or a black woman in a space, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
get extra criticism no matter what you do. Um, and right now people can be so loud on the internet. Like the people who are criticizing her, they don't know her. They don't have anything else to go on except for like, we built her up, so now let's tear her down.
And because people, and that's my frustration. People, and it's so interesting because I don't think that Huda is racist. I don't honestly think that she believed with it. I think that she is a person who made an uncomfortable reaction to a serious situation. And honestly, if I think back to situations that I've been put in the military or in life when people have said statements about things that I don't agree with, I sometimes laugh uncomfortably because that's just my reaction.
That's the only thing you can do sometimes.
Like I
Unless you're
don't
willing to full out fight.
right, and sometimes you're not, and you just go and I've done that or like, oh, but if you're doing a live and a lot of these lives are brand sponsored at this point, like you have to continue with this. So it's really hard. But I don't think that she's racist. And as a black woman, you do learn at an early thing that you have to work 3 times as hard. And I don't know if she's lived in that as a black and brown woman. I don't know if she's lived in that. but I think that now she's starting to have to, like, really come to terms with that because to me, that's kind of she's getting the type of polarizing hate that comes specifically with certain colors of people. Um, but it to me, it doesn't make sense because I hate cancel culture. I think cancel culture is I think that's
Can we cancel culture?
people having natural consequences to their bad actions is just life, right? So if you do something crazy and your job decides to fire you because you did something crazy, that's not cancel culture. That's a natural consequence, right? But if you didn't like someone's reaction specifically to something, you're now labeling it something that it may or may not be, and now it creates this bigger thing. And that part doesn't make sense to me because I also believe that there's a space for forgiveness and there's a space for understanding, and I think that is what we're lacking, that there has to be a place where we educate and say, "Oh, okay," and live in empathy
Yeah.
and say, "Oh, okay, hold on, how would I respond this way? Maybe that doesn't make her this, maybe she was put in an uncomfortable position. How can we educate her and help her learn?"
Yeah. But also that kind of interaction, that's not what internet platforms are there for, right?
That's
Like you
true.
can't really do that with, if you have 5 million followers, there's not like they don't have an actual relationship with you. This is the kind of stuff we kind of have to do real time one-on-one with relationships built on trust. I know I'm racist, right? Because I grew up in a racist system and I
Mhm.
benefit from that system of racism by virtue of being a white woman. I know that there's layers upon layers of racism that I haven't confronted yet that are going to pop up when I'm not thinking about it, when I'm in vulnerable situations, right? And I know I need to educate myself about that. But in the moment, if it's 5 million people on the internet telling me I need to educate myself, that doesn't feel like being helped. That doesn't feel like being of service. That feels like being attacked. And in that space of feeling attacked, you can't learn. So
I
like
agree with you.
so maybe it's good that she backed away from the internet and like maybe that's what she's doing, is saying like I need to examine what happened here. I need to make peace with myself. I need to figure out what I need to educate myself about because it's like, I don't want to be told to educate myself by a bunch of strangers I've never met on the internet.
Mhm.
I want to be told by my friends, my colleagues, people I trust. I mean, like for me, this is why I signed up for I'm in an allyship coaching program
Mhm.
that's run by an amazing woman. Her name is Rashida Bonds. And she started this community where you can go and you can talk about these things. And when you fuck up,
Mhm.
you have a place of people you trust that you've built a relationship with that are holding space to talk about this kind of stuff and help each other. But like dogpiling on someone
It
who,
doesn't
like,
I
she
don't
never said she was perfect. She, her claim to fame is Love Island. She's not a political candidate.
no,
She's not an educator.
not
She's not
only
an
is
activist.
her claim to fame is being one of the biggest crash outs on reality TV in, like, a decade or something, and I don't believe that about her, like, people don't watch enough reality TV because they could watch a, Love and Hip Hop, and I don't even watch Love and Hip Hop anymore because of it. There's too much there to unpack. But like her biggest thing was being emotional and crash out and living in her, and then but that's my thing is that and then when she is that imperfect person, you don't give space to be imperfect. And I've said this to many people, and maybe this is why it doesn't like it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense to me is that regardless of someone's statue or standard in life, there are just some people that we hold to a higher esteem and who society deems can't make a mistake. There's certain people that are literally lovable fuck ups that do every single thing wrong. Prince Harry, right?
Hmm.
I read Prince Harry's book. I loved his book. But if you listen to it, he talks about all of the times that he accidentally made racist statements or accidentally showed up in a costume he probably shouldn't shown up, you know? And we and again, we're talking about a white male, so that part sink in, but we also had, given space to forgive, and there's certain people that we're okay with being lovable fuck ups and forgiving, and there's some people that if they do one
Mostly
thing
white
wrong.
men.
That's true.
Like, I mean, talk about once again, not my place, but, like, when you talk about, like, a colonizer mindset, he's literally part of the British royal family, like, they were the like, that was
Yeah,
it. If your ancestors did stuff, it's his ancestors that did the stuff. Um, yeah,
that's very
and,
true.
like, look at our president. Look at our freaking president. There are people that need to do better and need to show up better and need to educate themselves, and a lot of them are elected officials, and we're not holding them accountable
And
in a
that's
real
I
way.
think that's my biggest point is that, like, the people who really need to benefit from cancel culture, the people who really, should be getting quote unquote canceled are the people who are just allowed to do and say whatever. And the genuine people who are just making a mistake because we're human and we don't, like, I could make a mistake about someone else's ethnicity or someone else's race purely by accident and purely not knowing. Those people are ones being words can't function. They're the ones being punished, and the people who really actually need to be held accountable aren't. Um, but ending that topic and getting into something way much lighter, we're gonna start talking about you and everything that you do and bringing, this spiritual into the real world. So we didn't really get to do it that much in the intro, but like right now, do you want to like introduce yourself a little bit more? Tell everybody about kind of what you do and everything like that.
Yes, that's the most uncomfortable part of my business for me is,
It
like,
always
telling
is, yeah.
people about myself. Um, yeah, my name is Megan Gilman, and I have been a life coach working with private clients for about 5 years,
Mhm,
and recently, I'm bringing in, like, the witchcraft, the shamanism, the magic, the woo, whatever you wanna call it,
mhm,
um, because it really is very integrated for me in my own practice, and I've
mhm,
kind of started to get past the point of, like, well, if these are the tools I'm using that have helped me, why wouldn't I share them with my clients? Why wouldn't I offer this kind of
mhm,
expansion, um, to help people kind of well, I work mostly with I call them recovering perfectionists, recovering people pleasers. It's like when you know that this
hello.
isn't helping, but
Yeah,
also, like, you're still doing it all the
mhm,
time subconsciously, um, to help them kind of finally shed those behaviors and move past them and unpack them so you can start living a life that actually feels like it fits instead of a life that feels like somehow it's, like, a little bit too small or not the
mhm,
right size, even though, like, you're sure you know your size from this store and you ordered the right one. Like, that's what I'm helping women move out of, that sense of, like, everything from the outside is fine. It
mhm,
doesn't fit. It's
mhm,
not mine. It's not the right one.
mhm.
And sometimes that looks like quitting your job and burning stuff down, like, metaphorically, not literally.
Don't actually commit arson.
And sometimes it looks like staying in the discomfort and working through it and showing up as a different version of yourself so that you can learn from these obstacles and come out the other side. But whatever thing it is, like, you're going to have to go through the fire, you're going to have to go through the change, and I work with women to help make sure that they do that in an authentic, aligned way. And sometimes we do that with traditional coaching and sometimes we use magic because, like, whatever gets it done faster.
Yeah. I, I'm actually going through such a tremendous shift in my life. It is the most uncomfortable thing I have ever done, and I've done some really uncomfortable things in my life, and now I'm getting emotional. Sorry, guys, I'm literally on so many antidepressant medications, they, like, make me feel my feelings or sometimes make me feel more feelings, um, and it's I've how you describe so a little backstory to kind of my journeys. I actually do come from a religious background. I've never felt like that fit me at all. Um, I've always loved astrology. I grew up around an earth sign mother and an earth sign brother, and I am a fire sign. And so, if you know anything about astrology, you know how chaotic that can be because essentially fire signs just are passion and following in, impulses, and earth signs are well thought out, things need to be planned, material, grounding kind of people. And, that was the first time I, ever felt like I didn't belong in a space. And I've done so many things in my life trying to find my space. And last year, my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And I think that it was like a shocker. Oh, thank you. I always say it without any emotion in it, but that's just kind of who I am. I could tell you the worst thing that ever happened to me and be like so unemotional. It's not a good habit. Don't adapt it. But that was that was the moment when, I was doing all the things. I got a house when I turned 30, which to me by myself, which was a major accomplishment. Jokes
That's
on me, I'm
huge.
losing. It was huge. I'm losing the house now, but all things happen for the reasons. I was working at a 9 to 5 credit union. I was doing all the things that people had wanted me to do for so long. In
You
the
had the health
background,
insurance and
I
the
had the
yeah.
health insurance. I'm in the reserves. And I right before all of those things happened, I was following more of my passions. I was getting more into crystals during COVID, took tarot classes. I became a certified tarot reader, a certified um, crystal healer, advanced crystal healer, sound bath healer, all of these things. Like I had the job, everything. And before that, I had started my spiritual journey. And it was interesting because when I moved into my house, I had the feeling instantly that this was the wrong thing to do. And I remember, like, crying to someone and be like, "I made a bad decision, but I can't get out of it now." And so I spent 3 years trying to make that decision work, almost like a like a Love Is Blind marriage. I spent
Yep.
3 years trying to make it work, and I lost a lot of myself, and I lost a lot of my spirituality in it. And then my mom got the cancer thing, and it kind of felt like it was awakening up for me. It was like, I'm spending my life doing things that I didn't hate it, right? But it wasn't who I was, and I had to kind of shed, and I started the shedding, and it has not stopped, and it has been really hard, but of finding, like how you were saying, finding a space where I belong and I fit in. And that is hard, and and now I'm in the process of kind of doing what you're doing, where beforehand, I was really leaning heavy into the woo-woo and the spiritual, and I had the space and time to do that, and then I went into the more mainstream, and now I'm finding a way to eventually, hopefully, blend those all together.
Yeah, to mix them together because the thing is, there's like sorry for my dogs. They're very loud.
It's
There's a
okay.
whole generation though of us who grew up in this like second wave feminism and we were taught like you can be a CEO, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer as long as you follow the rules. And we are so
Mhm,
freaking good at following the rules. We know what's expected of us. We know the right answers, and it's not too hard for us to play by those rules and do the right answers.
mhm,
But they're not our right answers. They're just like made up ones from someone else. And when for me, a lot of those tools that lean towards the magical, the mystical, the woo, for lack of a, I don't love the term woo because a lot of the things that we call woo are actually like ancient indigenous wisdom that
mhm,
just don't mesh with like
yeah,
white European science, or we haven't caught up, in our
mhm,
science yet to what they're doing. Um, so I try not to be dismissive of them, but also like sometimes that's what we're talking about.
mhm,
I think like, it helps for me, it gets past a lot of my overthinking. It helps me notice my intuition and start to trust my intuition and start to validate. Like, if I feel something deep in my bones and then I pull a tarot card and it's like, yep, it's exactly what you thought. It helps to validate me in a way that I know I'm not going to get validation if I call up my mom,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
even like my best friend or my husband, because they all have expectations and thoughts and feelings about what they want me to do. Um, Even when they're coming from a really loving place, it's hard for them to stand back, if you're making a decision that scares them,
Mhm.
or that they don't understand, you know?
Yeah. It's been I definitely understand. I agree, like, people put woo on so many different things that it doesn't necessarily need to be put on, and it is a lot of just, like, ancient medicine and things that were studied, maybe not in the same way as we view, like, science now, but had been
Mhm.
used for decades and centuries, you know, to help and heal. And it's weird because to me, they did a better well, not in the whole, like, witch hunting days, but to me, they did a better job of implementing spiritual and magical into everyday life, and we're the ones that are lacking that integration, and it is very challenging. I know, like, for me, in my journey, I've lost my intuition, or maybe I didn't lose it, but I feel like I lost it because of everything that's happening. I've lost, like, a connection to my tarot cards, and I'm trying, to find that back because to me, I lived on 2 extremes, and I lived in, "All right, I'm gonna be super spiritual, and I'm gonna take all the class," and that's a me thing, "I'm gonna take all the classes." And, then I was like, "And now I'm gonna focus on being this businesswoman person and this high-powered," and neither of those worked for me, and, finding the middle ground in that is so important. So when you have those clients that are coming to you and you're wanting to integrate that spiritual and that kind of more real world mindset, how do you do that? How do you coach people through that?
Yeah. I It's not uncommon in a session with me for me to say something and then be like, "I don't know if I believe that thing I just listened to or that thing I said." Um, so take it with a grain of salt, right? And, like, my work is to wake women up to their own intuition. And like you said, that, like, you felt disconnected from your intuition or like you've lost it.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I always think of it as, if you have a good friend and she gives you the best freaking advice, but you never
mhm,
take it, she's gonna stop wasting her time giving you advice. She's not gonna keep screaming at you
yeah,
and calling you and bothering you. She's just gonna be like, "Fine, you know what? If you ask, I'm here." But that's it. And that's what happens to so many of our intuitions. It gets quieter and quieter as we ignore it and we listen to other outside voices instead of that inner voice.
mhm,
Um, I often will start very very normal coaching, like we're just talking about what's going on. And then I'll be like, you know what? Can I pull a card for you on this just to see if we can get a different way of thinking about it?
mhm,
Almost like a picture prompt. So I always keep a deck of cards of some sort on my table. But like, okay, you're stuck. You're thinking of this in the same way. So maybe these are just pretty pictures, but let's pick a pretty picture and see, what does this make you think of? Um, when you look at this
mhm,
picture, what does it make you think of in regards to your current situation, the one you're stuck with? Maybe it's not divine guidance from some spirit in the sky. Maybe it's just
mhm,
your own intuition doing a slight reframe, like, when you're at the eye doctor's office and they, like, switch between the
mhm,
lenses, let's try a different
mhm,
lens on
yeah,
that. And so it can be as mystical as you feel comfortable with. It can also be very cerebral because a lot of the things that are modern neuroscience
mhm,
are and modern psychology are actually repackaged ancient magic tools that are just,
Mhm.
now some credentialed white man wrote a paper on it and put a different name on it, like cognitive behavioral therapy. And now instead of like casting spells on yourself, it's just reciting affirmations. Like there's
Mhm.
a lot of overlap between the tools. And I think, 500 years ago, before we had modern psychology or therapy or you know, we would have gone to a spiritual healer. We would have gone to a priest. We would have gone to a wise man or a wise woman, and they would have
Mhm.
done the same things. They wouldn't have taken insurance. But the tools are old and we're
Mhm.
learning more and more about them. And so I like to try to, depending on where a client's at and their comfort level, like I have clients who will come to me and be like, I really feel like I need you to channel my higher self today. And I'll help with that. We'll go on a journey and we'll talk to our higher self. If you go onto my website, I've got a free guided meditation to help you meet a future version of yourself so that you can ask
Mhm.
them for guidance. Uh, but sometimes it's just talking and sometimes I'll get little pings of guidance that I'll share and I'll be like, "Hey, I don't think this is me talking.
Mhm.
I feel like this came from somewhere else. Does it sound familiar?" Every so often I'll have a client be like, "Oh my gosh, that's my teacher from like 4th
Mhm.
grade that passed away. I know exactly who it is who said that." And sometimes they'll be like, "Nope, that doesn't hit." And I'm like, "Okay, take it or leave it." Just like anything, right? Like you have to trust yourself to be the one who knows.
Yeah.
Um, but I do love to bring in that just sort of element of magic because it lets us overwrite that like overthinking part of us that thinks that there is a right and a wrong answer, that there is a best way to do something, and then we just have to
Mhm.
somehow figure it out.
I struggled through that myself a lot, even in my tarot reading, and I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped was the feeling of disconnect from my intuition, even when it was right. But the feeling of things, going wrong and I'm being wrong and maybe I'm misinterpreting this and, then you put your own emotions onto it. I miss I don't do any of it anymore. And I know that some of it is just that you can only do what you can, and sometimes you literally do not have the capacity to give anymore or do anymore. And I want that to be like a thing that people hear, you know, that like your journey, you can start your journey whenever you want. You can deviate from your journey whenever you want. You can come back to it. Your journey will look different. Like that's kind of my story, but I honestly do believe that they can blend in so well together. I've actually had um a certification in holistic life coaching, just because I always wanted to have a certification in life coaching. And then I tried it for a hot second, but I had no passion and energy to do it. And I honestly think that, like, in podcast form, that's probably a better way that I can reach people. But there are, I own a holistic self-care and self-love business, and the whole base of that is one, taking the cafe home, taking that energy of sitting in a cafe with the candles burning and then sipping a beautiful tea and reading a book. You can have that anywhere, but my teas are also there are teas that I have that are holistic. I mean, all of them are holistic, but there are teas that I have that have certain purposes. And those are kind of the ones that I cycle through. Like I have a tea out for fall that's Lilith, and that's meant to kind of embody that dark feminine energy. And when you're, feeling like you want to tap into that energy, just grab that tea, make that tea and sip on that. Same thing would have candles. I have candles that, embody that energy. I also lean into some of the things that are like pumpkin chai. I have a pumpkin chai tea, and I have a pumpkin chai candle, and that's just like, I just wanna be like a fall girly.
No, 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 pumpkin.
Mhm.
I'm like, they call in prosperity.
There's so, like, prosperity, abundance.
There's
Mhm.
we that we have them in the fall at the end of harvest to
When you're
celebrate what
supposed to be
we've
reaping the
called
benefits.
Yeah, and to prepare us for, like, the long winter ahead where things get
Mhm.
scary, where there's not necessarily enough to go around, to kind of it's like a prayer. Pumpkin spice is like a prayer
It
to get
is.
through the winter and
And
a
then
gratitude.
yeah. And so I love that I have calm candles, I have triple goddess to kind of tap into that all energy and honor your own, spirit and energy and femininity. I make teas like that and I make candles like that because my true belief is that other than like being able to take the cafe home, is that self-love and self-care practice can be blended and mixed in with more holistic, more magical, more spiritual things. And it's not as like crazy as having to do all these rituals that you see on TikTok. It's something simple as lighting a candle or reading a book or drinking tea.
Hmm. Yeah, I think one of the practices that I started a while ago was to just bless my beverage. In the
Mhm.
morning when you make your coffee, as I do, I'm not gonna get through a day without my coffee, but to add some stuff in, I'll normally do some cinnamon, some nutmeg, maybe some honey,
Mhm.
and then to hold it and to say, like, "May this coffee grant me the energy to accomplish the work I'm supposed to do in the world today. May it bring, like, prosperity and luck and success into my life." And then to take, like, a slow sip before you go on to, like, your day, and then you're just drinking it in the background, to take that moment,
Mhm.
um, to set that intention over a coffee or a tea or over the lighting of a candle is so powerful, and that's something that, even I guarantee if you're listening to this and you're like, "How can I bring some magic into my life?" You already have bath lotion. You already
Mhm.
have at least one candle in your house. If you're a woman in the United States in 2025, you have at least one scented candle in your house. So
Mhm.
go find that candle, and the next time you wanna relax, light that candle with the intention, like, "May this help me relax and reconnect to myself," and then light the candle. And that's the kind of magic that is
Mhm.
so powerful, those tiny everyday moments of setting intention. Like, it
That
it
actually
can
used to
be
be
just
my,
that.
that used to be my tagline was everyday magic.
Yes, and if you don't have a candle, go find Gabby's website and buy it from her. She's got
Yeah.
lots.
I mean, like, I'm so and Christmas is the perfect time to be like, get you and get one for your friend and was like, "Guess what? For the New Year's, we're fixing our lives. And I am also getting ready to work on my winter teas, which I'm so excited about, and my winter candles, hopefully. My winter teas are gonna be a green chai, which I love. And that's just like I love the concept of chai, natural chai. Um and I love kind of playing on it. For me, the green chai, like most people would be like, why won't you do like a darker chai? And I think that sometimes when we're in those colder months and everything feels darker, we need things to kind of brighten us up and give us a little bit of hope. That one's usually green tea. And there's this green tea that I found that I love. It's Japanese pan fried green tea. It tastes freaking amazing. And it has mint and it has clove and it has cardamom and those are good winter herbs as well, being able to put things to rest but do it in a more healing and open way. There's going to be a winter kind of like a winter morning tea that kind of is rosemary and mint and there's another herb that I was thinking of, and I can't eucalyptus, that's kind of meant to help clear out because that's one of the things that happens in the winters, you're letting things kind of go through and clear out of your system. And then
Yeah.
there's another one, and I cannot for the love of me remember, but I'm getting ready to do those things. I love I'm still missing some of the things that I loved about my crystals, and I know now that I'm gonna get back to it in my own time, but one of my favorite things is still being able to embody that in my teas and in my candles. And legit nothing feels better, and this is, like, when you're talking about women having candles, nothing feels better than me coming home from a day and, like, lighting my calm candle. And just being like, "I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna take off this makeup, I'm gonna read this book and chill." And I think that those are people like you were saying, people think that it's so difficult to integrate the spiritual or the magical or whatever into your daily life. And what you said about your start is just blessing the beverage that you have, you know? You think about like religion, and religion, you say prayers before you eat your food. And it's something that's very similar. And we forget that we as people are energy. We're just atoms or whatever moving around constantly. That's what our shirts are and everything. And we can be able to put that energy into other things, other drinks. We can be able to use the energy that's around us. That's why everybody, feel has similar feelings about um me and my coworkers. We're all on a smoothie cleanse or smoothie kick right now. None of us
Mhm.
communicated it with each other, but we all came to work one day and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm smoothie." And they were like, "We are too."
You're on the same vibration. Yeah, it
We're on the same
happens.
vibration. Exactly. And I think that those are the good start. I love talking to you. I could talk about this stuff forever.
I know. We might have to circle back another time because I have to leave soon to go get my kid.
Yeah, 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 we'll
Uh,
definitely have to circle back. As we're getting ready to close, one, I want to be able to have, plug in all your things, have people be able to find you, but is there like something that you want, a last little thought or something that you want to put out there for anyone listening to this and anyone feeling like they're ready to get started in this type of journey?
yeah, I mean, the practical side of me is like, well, come find me. I'm online at megangilman.net.
Mhm.
Megan, like the boring Megan, Megan, no extra letters. And then Gilman, GILLMAN.net.
Mhm.
Um, and I send out an email list every Monday. I draw a card, I interpret the card, and then instead
Mhm.
of just giving you like the reading for the week, I give you like actionable steps. Today's was actually like, here are some things to definitely do this week, and here are two things, do not do these things this week. Like, and they are these kind of small practical things, like
Mhm.
read that book that you bought that you didn't that has been sitting on your side table that you're like, "Oh, I really need to be in the right headspace." No, this week is the week you read the book.
Mhm.
Um, there's small practical things that really help you live into that reading.
Mhm.
And I think that is just really powerful and a playful way to get started. So if that's something you're interested in, come join my email list.
Do
It's
you
called
do
Magical
the
Mondays.
do you do it on Substack, or is it just like a regular email list?
It's like a regular email list. I think it's on like ConvertKit or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a card drawing on Mondays to help you figure out like, well, what's the theme for this week, right? Like what is it supposed to be?
Mhm.
But honestly, it's all about trusting your intuition. And so if you get a little nudge, just practice listening to it. The biggest barrier between you and like everyday magic is just your belief that it's happening. So if you pull a tarot card and you're like, I don't actually know what this means, I can't know what this means, I don't know enough about it, that's you choosing disbelief. But if you pull a tarot card and you're like, "No, I'm not sure, but I think this probably means something about X, Y, or Z," and you just decide to believe it, you're going
Mhm.
to start to see how that guidance informs your life and shapes the way you go about making your choices. And I think it's really powerful just to take those small steps and then just watch what happens. And if
Mhm.
I'm wrong, like, I don't know what, you're out 3 minutes of your life.
You'll be okay.
You'll be fine. But I don't think I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, I love that. Honestly, I think that just being able to have this conversation with you, it's just been super healing for me. And so I hope that it's super healing for other people. My goal always is to make healing accessible and comfortable, and not necessarily like those videos that you watch on YouTube or like I wanted to feel, again, tying back to the everyday thing, I wanted to feel like an everyday life instead of feeling like only I can access this if I take these. I always wanted to feel natural and approachable. And I'm so appreciative of you coming on here because you got to gossip with me a little bit, and that
I
usually
love
gets
that.
people in. And you got to like share some things that I think that a lot of people out here, especially in this time, really need to hear. And I think it's a really beautiful message coming right before we get into our Christmas time season to really think about, because I think that, people only think about New Year's Eve or New Year's resolutions on the day before or something, but it's something that you could plot out right now. And it doesn't have to be a New Year's Eve's resolution. It could be something that coincides with the winter solstice.
Yeah, exactly, which is that really is, like, the return of the sun, like, the sun
Mhm,
starts coming back. This is a good
mhm,
place to start thinking about your
mhm,
resolutions. I'm actually hosting on what day? Um, on December 30th,
mm,
I'm hosting an open coaching call, of my group program, which is called Campfire Collective, which is really just a space for, like, weird, witchy girls who are choosing to, like, go through the discomfort and change and come
mhm.
into their next selves during 2026. We're having an open free to anyone call on December 30th, and we're actually gonna do some of that, like, pre-New Year's intention setting, goal setting if anyone wants to join. Um, yeah, just message me, find me on Instagram or Threads, and I'll hook you up.
'Kay, I'm definitely gonna message you because this sounds so fascinating and the perfect way for me to spend the end of my year, personally. Um, but other than that, thank you so much for being on here, Megan. Thank everybody for coming on and listening to another episode of, basically Unbothered Podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Pure Tiva Podcast.